And hello once more, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to episode 55 of a Druids Dozen. Yeah, my name's John. I'm known as the Rock Druid, bit of a radio DJ. So you've seen this before and know all about this, but just in case you haven't, I've got a couple of radio shows. I do the Sunday Rock Show on BCFM radio, 93.2 FM in the Bristol, UK area, and the Rock Druid on astroradio.earth, an international science and music-based station. And this is just me raiding my record collection to kill a bit of a time on a Saturday afternoon, waving some records in front of a camera and talking about them. So without further ado, Albrecht has just decided to roll off. Not Albrecht, Urbane has decided to join us for a second. Look, that's where you sit, up there. Stay, good boy, good monkey. And oh, sorry, hey. And yeah, should we press straight on? We shall start with a bit of this, bit of classic 80s prog rock. Put the bins on first, and I shall go like this. Yeah, our first one today is this classic. This is a script for Jesters Tear by Marillion from 1983. There is the front. There is the back. Folds out lustily. And I'll go through the cover in a bit in a second. There's the gatefold, lyrics and credits. There's the disc, the MI yellow label. I think that means first pressing, if I remember rightly. Or that particular combination of the Marillion logo on the yellow label means first press. Oh, I can't remember off the top of my head. I used to know. Yeah. And here we go. Now, Marillion, if you don't know, when they had the 80s neo-prog, I hate that word, British prog rock revival back in the early 1980s, came alongside the new wave of British heavy metal as a kind of sister movement. Marillion were the forerunners and probably the biggest band off that scene. And after a couple of singles, the Market Square Heroes EP and He Knows You Know, this was their first full-length album. And it is a classic. It's just six tracks long. Each track is a masterpiece of kind of, yeah, it's traditional prog rock. It's very Genesis, it's very Camel. You know, that's where Marillion were coming from musically. But on the other hand, it's got a kind of edge to it that's, again, normally associated with new wave of British heavy metal, a bit of a kind of feistiness that kind of lifts it above the kind of you know, because prog rock can be a bit generic and bland, but this has got an edge and a vibe and a bite that gives it a kind of almost like, it's like a punk kind of approach, especially with Fish's lyrics and vocal approach. You got the opening cut, script for Jester's Tear, with its classic opening. It's a bong, here I am once more in the playground of a broken heart. Just a fantastic opening. Leads on to He Knows You Know, which is an angry song about finding yourself and mental illness. The Web, which is oh, what's her name? That Greek legend about the woman that was weaving kind of a tapestry while her husband was away and unravelling it every night to avoid marriage, but kind of ties it up to kind of urban loneliness and neglect. Garden Party, which is a vicious sideswipe at the British class system. Chelsea Monday, about escapism and escaping the fantasy worlds. And then the epic cut Forgotten Sons, which is all about Britain's involvement in the Northern Irish conflict. and you know, soldiers going out to die. You know, ordered. What's the lyric here? Yeah. Something about patrolling the carpeted corridors of Whitehall. Well, I can't find the lyric at the top end because it's epic track. But anyway, a superb song that's a piece of music. Yeah, all the tracks on here are brilliant. The performances on here are first rate. Even Mick Pointer, who was a Marillion's first drummer, that kind of was asked to leave after this. Actually, if you ever watch the recital of the script video stroke DVD, came out round about this time, which was their called it Hammersmith Odeon during their final tour, final gigs for the tour in this album. You can see Mick Pointer and Fish and the rest of the band having heated words beside the stage before they come on for the encore. But you know, you've got the rhythm section of Mick Pointer and Pete Travis, tight as a duck's backside. Mark Kelly's sublime keyboard playing, some inspired guitar work from Steve Rothery. Fish's almost kind of like punky vocal approach with his kind of sneering, you know, bitter lyrics makes for a perfect album. Mark Wilkinson cover design, which is one of these covers you can lose yourself in for ages. There's you know, little things like where is it? I can't see it on my hand, but you know, there's things like there's the first cover of the first Kerrang magazine that, and the first sounds they appeared in. For some reason, there's Jethro Tull's Under Wrap album cover there, and yeah, just makes for, you can just sit there poring over that cover for ages, just picking up little kind of references to the band's history and as it was up to date, and the songs and that. Just an amazing record, one of my all-time favourites. I got this not long after it came out. Still love it, still play it regularly to this day. This particular vinyl copy's been retired and I have a CD reissue, but it's still a prime part of my collection. Yeah, our first one today, 1983, Marillion, script for a Jester's Tear, an essential prog rock release. Okay, moving on. We'll have a bit of this. This is Old Rake by Old Drake. Bit of shred and whittle guitar instrumental metal for you. And this came out in 2015. Now, if you don't know, oh sorry, I meant to tell you, there's the front. There is the back. That's what's behind the disc. There is the disc. Pop this out. Various pictures of old Drake himself. With various kind of makeups to that one, and yeah, oh sorry, there's the credits. Guitar instrumental album. Old Drake is well, was guitarist, I can't remember exactly if he's still with them or not, but Evil, their lead guitarist. This is his solo, one of his solo albums. Joined on here by Gary Holt from Exodus, James Murphy from Testament, Josh Middleton from Silosis, and a couple of others. Joining him in the studio to kind of throw in the jams, to shred and whittle in unison, etc. Apart from that, old Drake does everything himself, and Mike Hellier plays drums. There's also Jonathan Sale on does occasional bass, but yeah, it's, if you like guitar playing, this will be right up your street. Personally, I can find, although this is a fun album, I do find it a bit much. Guitar instrumental albums, unless they're done by someone like Ronnie Montrose or Carlos Santana, that's got a bit of melody to them, I do find them a little bit inaccessible. And this can get into the point of just mindless shred and whittle for the purpose of mindless shred and whittle. Although it's not unlistenable, you know, it's just that I do listen to this album from time to time, but I have to do it in stages, a couple of tracks at a time, because one of these things where the tunes tend to blur into each other. Highlights on here: Spaceship Janitor and I'll Be Back. Get it? I know you probably do get it, but that's what the album's called. Oh, look there. I'll Be Back. Get it? Yeah. Probably the highlights. Guitarist playing guitars. The Rake waltz, it's all right. You know, it's okay. It's like I said, just a bit. Unless you're heavily into people like Satriani and Christian Pateleri, etc., it can be a little bit inaccessible. But having said that, if you are into guitar heroisms, this should be in your collection. If you're not, give it a listen, give it a try, but try before you buy. Yeah, Old Rake by Old Drake from 2015. Okay, next up, bit of this, bit of a stadium rocking AOR. There's the front. This is Journey's Raised on Radio, 1986. There's the back. Pull this out. Picture of the main core of Journey there. Lyrics, more lyrics and credits and that. Yeah. Now, I've got to admit, I'm not the world's biggest Journey fan. Yeah. Don't dislike Journey, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to slag them off, but I just started to find that, especially since the old MTV era started in the early 80s, and the albums like Frontier and Escape came out, you know, they've been a bit soft for my liking, a little bit kind of tame. And although, yeah, these guys are excellent players, they just, again, don't really talk to me that much. Although, having said that, on most Journey albums, there's at least one track that I can really get behind and cheer on. And this one is no exception. With this, it's the song Be Good to Yourself. A superb little kind of commercial rocker, with some great kind of positive, uplifting lyrics about being good to yourself when nobody else will. Song that kind of, I'll make no bones that I do suffer from depression from time to time, and it's one of the songs that kind of got me through a few low periods. You know, because you feel like no one cares about you, but you've got to look after yourself if you want to survive this world. And one of the songs that if I'm feeling, you know, it's silly, but in the flat, if I'm feeling really down, because that's one of the songs I'm playing. But yeah, cracking track. Easily the highlight of this record. Rest of the album, I could take or leave, to be honest with you. Again, I'm not saying for a moment that it's not extremely well played. I'm not knocking any of the performances on here. Neil Sean's guitar work, although Neil Sean's one of these guitarists, especially his work with Journey, I just wish he would let rip a bit more. Tends to be very tame. You know, Steve Perry on vocals, great voice, but not really kind of, again, he just never kind of, it's band that they know where the edge is, put it this way, Journey, and they avoid it like the plague. It's safe music for safe ears. There's nothing offensive on a Journey album, and to me, rock and roll should be a little bit offensive. But like I said, if you like this kind of sort of like slick stadium rock, this album is great. Other tracks on here that's worth listening to: I'll Be Alright Without You, Why Can't This Night Go On Forever, the big hit off this, Suzanne, big US hit, of course. Yeah, makes for a cracking record. So there's the front. I'm going to show you the back as well there. Not much to look at. Do like the artwork on here. Apparently the radio station's Steve Perry's parents used to own a radio station, and it's based on loosely based on a photograph of the station they used to run in the middle of America somewhere. So yeah, not much else to say about this one. Could be, you know, I like this for one track. The rest of it I can take or leave. But like I said, if you're into this kind of music, then it's pretty damn good. Yeah, Journey, Raised on Radio, 1986. Okay, next up we'll come back to Bristol. We always like to try and get one local band in here, or something very underground. And this is, we're having something local. And it's this. This is debut album by Criminal Minds, and this came out in 2012 on Death or Glory Records, one of our local punk labels and promotion companies. Done a lot of sterling work on the punk scene through Death and Glory. And yeah, there's the front. There is the back. Pop this open. There's behind the disc. There is the disc. No, there's no and that's just in the back of the inlay card. It's just like one sheet inlay card. There's nothing booklets to open up with. Now, Criminal Minds, Criminal Minds are a rap band. Criminal Minds, Bristol punk outfit, still going as far as I'm aware. Formed around about 2007, 2008. There's an EP out before this. This is their first full-length album. That's it. It's called debut album. And there's at least one more album that came out after this, but so this is their first one. And to my sadness, the only one I actually possess. Yeah, just a great piece of old school punk. Excuse me a minute, need a sucker fisherman's friend. It's nasty, it's snotty, it's in your face, it's everything a great punk album should be. Highlights on here for me are Call for the Boot Boys, No Social Culture, got a bit of an oi vibe going about them, of course. Sound for a Generation, Frustrated and Teenage, You'll Never Take Us Down. But yeah, that's just me picking up some of the songs that kind of resonate in my ears still when I played it earlier today. But overall, there's not really a dub track on here. It's Oi Fueled. This is a perfect soundtrack for a pogo party. And I hastily recommend anyone that likes a bit of punk rock to check it out. Still available, and as far as I'm aware, Criminal Mind are still an ongoing concern. So when we eventually get live music underway after lockdown, you know, if you see them in your area, go check them out. I've seen them live once myself, and absolutely storming set. So yeah, 2012, the debut album by Criminal Mind, Punky A Go Go. Okay, from punk to a bit more prog and a bit of a classic. There is the front, which has that on the back, which of course folds out lustily. Pictures of coos. Gatefold sleeve. Another black and white picture full of coos. And of course it says up there exactly what we're talking about. Atom Heart Mother by Pink Floyd from 1970. Corking record. File under pop groups. Don't see that. Just there, you don't see that very often these days. Right, now, I no doubt there's people out there that can probably tell you the ins and outs of recording of this album and all sorts of gems about it, you know, the exact meaning of Alan's Psychedelic Breakfast, etc. But I can't. I'll be honest with you, I just like the music, and you know, I did start doing a bit of research into the recording of this album, and it's long and complicated, so I left it. I thought I'll just give you my impression of the music, and if you want to go doing some more digging on Atom Heart Mother, feel free. But this is one of a couple of albums I brought out, early 70s. Well, actually, quite a few albums in the early 70s. I think this one was the one directly before Meddle, or did Amagama come after this? I think Amagama was before it. I don't know. My early Pink Floyd collection is sketchy. It was one of those situations where I used to share various flats with various people, and when it came to bands you both like Pink Floyd, we didn't collect the same albums. So various people I've lived with are probably lacking a copy of Atom Heart Mother, just as I'm lacking copies of Meddle and Amagama, and Dark Side of the Moon for that matter. I've never got a copy of Dark Side of the Moon for myself. Never mind. But anyway, yeah, one of Pink Floyd's weirder albums. It's broken down into the first side is just the Atom Heart Mother suite itself, broken down into 6 sections: Father's Shout, Breasty Milk, Mother 4, Funky Dung, Mind Your Throats Please, and Re-emergence. Some fantastic soundscapes. Yeah, a lot more psychedelic than it is prog in places. I mean, they didn't really start developing full-blown prog sort of style until probably Meddle or Dark Side of the Moon. So it's definitely more psychedelia than progressive rock. But it's just just a beautiful, laid-back sort of soundscape. Great stuff. Second side, a little bit more song orientated. You've got If, the opening cut, Roger Waters' pen number, beautiful little acoustic number. So I'm going to show you the disc. Beautiful little acoustic number. Yeah, there we are. EMI Harvest. A beautiful little acoustic number that kind of just drifts away. Almost kind of like, yeah, slight references to Rudyard Kipling, certain Rudyard Kipling poem, but without actually being generic thereof. Summer '68, Richard Wright track. Then you've got Dave Gilmour's Fat Old Son, and then you've got the closing section, Alan's Psychedelic Breakfast, which is music with a sound effects of a bloke having breakfast. There's buttering toast and cracking eggs and sort of sizzling bacon and that. Just makes for a great kind of, the whole album makes for a great late night, laid back, lights out, 420 listen. Yeah, not much else to say really. I do like this album. I can't really tell you much more than technical details, but please, you know, if you like a bit of kind of just great music, this is well worth an explore. Yeah, 1970, Pink Floyd, Atom Heart Mother. Another CD now, and a bit more up to date. Yeah, we'll have this one next. Bit more guitar heroism. There is the front. This is Rory Gallagher's Blueprint, 1973, although this is a 2008 CD remaster reissue. There's the front. There is the back. Pop this open. There's behind the disc. There is the disc. Slip the booklet out. Mr. Gallagher himself. Some rather interesting lyrics from Donald Gallagher, which I think is his brother, I can't remember. But anyway, sleeve notes, etc. The lineup that plays on the album, which basically is Rod Diath on drums, Lou Martin on keyboards, and Gary McAvoy on bass. Another nice picture of Mr. Gallagher with his famous guitar, his Strat, track listing, etc. Now, where exactly this falls into the Rory Gallagher canon, I'm not sure. I really should own more Rory Gallagher albums. I've got about 3 or 4, some on vinyl, some on CD, that are kind of scattered throughout the collection. Again, the situation where I shared flats with people that were heavily into Rory Gallagher, so they had all the records, and I've only been replacing them bit by bit since I've been, well, first of all, living on my own and then with the missus. But I do like this. This is one of my favourite. This one and probably Tattoo is probably one of my favourite Rory Gallagher albums. This one, again, there's not a dove track on here. My favourite cut on here, Hands Off, great rock and roller. Then there's Daughter of the Everglades, kind of Seventh Son of the Seventh Son, The Banker's Blues, Unmilitary Two-Step, If I Had a Reason. Couple of bonus tracks. There's a track called Stomping Ground and Treat Her Right, which one was a B-side, one was an outtake. But Walking on Hot Coals, the opening cut. Rory Gallagher, a guy that could kind of, a white Irish blues guitarist who could have played the blues. Mr. Moore, take note. Although you can't, unfortunately, sadly. But Gary Moore talking about, not Cliff. Cliff can play the blues. But anyway, just a built-in album. It's hard, it's heavy, but in places it's beautifully sensitive. Mr. Gallagher makes his Strat talk, laugh, sing, cry. He actually can really brings out the emotion of the instrument, and yeah, it should be highly praised for what he does on this record. Yeah, if you're a guitarist or just love guitar music and you've not listened to Rory Gallagher before, do yourself a favour, check out his stuff. This is a great album to start with, although really anything he did is good. Is a good listen. And yeah, have your mind blown. Rory Gallagher, Blueprint, 1973. Corker. Okay, another CD and something a bit more up to date, and a band that's again still going. There we are, 2011. This is it. This is Sinners Never Sleep by You Me at 6. There's the front. There's the back. Pop this open. There's the band themselves hiding behind the disc. Add the disc so you can see what the disc looks like. Here we have lyrics. More lyrics. Yet more lyrics and album credits there. Now, You Me at 6, they're out of a place I think called Basingstoke, which is a dormitory town a few miles south of London. Very much middle class commuter belt, very much the kind of place that kind of spawns angsty teenage rebellion against the man and what your parents are telling you to do. And it's no surprise that You, Me and 6 came out the way they did. You know, listen to the American pop punk bands. I do flash with quite a few of them on here from time to time. You know, you've got bands like Good Charlotte, My Chemical Romance, etc. You and Me at 6 are kind of one of the British equivalents thereof, along with bands like Asking Alexandra, etc. But there's a little bit more guts and grind to You, Me at 6 than there are to the American counterparts. They're very much kind of rooted in the British metal tradition. Got a bit of a metalcore thing going, you know, with the clean and dirty vocals. Although they do blend it with a healthy dose of pop punk. And to be honest with you, I really like it. I think this band they're great. Never seen them live, unfortunately, but I do possess a few of their albums. This of which being one. And overall, I approve. Highlights on this for me include Jaws on the Floor, The Little Death, A Dilemma, and then the closing cut When We Were Younger. Absolutely belting that anthem. It's full of kind of angry teen angst, but it's also kind of got a tongue very much firmly in cheek and played not for laughs, but you know, for giggles maybe. Yeah, the performances are shit hot on here. Yeah, Chris Wiles and Max Hellier on the guitar side, mine. Again, old people watch this. This is not You and Me at 6. This is people that make CDs and design covers. Old people get CDs as well. Actually, more old people buy CDs than youngers these days. Young'uns get downloads. So make your text bigger. Our eyes don't last as long. But anyway, cracking record. Well worth checking out if you've not heard them before. And yeah, good fun record. You Me at 6, Sinners Never Sleep, 2011. I think their third album, I'm not sure, but yeah, I like it. Okay, next up, the first of 2 live albums in this week's Wavings. Here we go, Gillan live at Reading 1980. The Friday Rock Show sessions. There is the front. There is the back, including sleeve notes from legendary British music journalist Malcolm Dunn. Raw Fruit, which Raw Fruit Records there. In conjunction with the BBC. Now, if you're watching outside the UK, or maybe you're in the UK and forgotten, Reading was, and to a lesser extent still is, one of the major UK summer festivals. Reading used to kind of be a little, well, I did experiment with having punk bands and that, etc., but it used to be purely a rock and metal festival. You know, kind of legendary headliners there include Black Sabbath, Marillion have done it, Hawkwind. Yeah, that's the kind of bands I used to have there. And every year, in the early 80s at least, the BBC used to record selected sets from the festival, and then they'll be broadcast over ensuing weeks as live sessions on the Sunday Rock Show with the great Tommy Vance. 1980, I did a few. I've already, I think a couple of episodes ago, I talked about Samson. Did one of these, and yeah, there's quite a few of these available. Either Reading ones, there's a couple of Donington ones, and I do believe there's some other ones as well. I've got a Jethro Tull selection. There's about 20, I think, in total of this series of BBC Friday Rock Show session albums came out. But anyway, we're talking about this one today. Gillan, of course, Ian Gillan, ex-Deep Purple vocalist with his solo metal band. Joined on this album by it's the classic lineup of Bernie Tormey on guitar, Big John McCoy on bass, Mick Underwood on drums, Colin Town on keys. Giving it right. Most of the tracks here are lifted from the Glory Road and Mr. Universe albums, because I think Future Shock came out after this Reading appearance. The tracks, only 6 tracks: Unchain Your Brain, Mr. Universe, If You Believe Me, Trouble, Vengeance, and then a rather interesting version of Smoke on the Water, where they kind of, I'll say, punk it up a bit, but there's definitely a bit of attitude in Bernie Tormey's playing that Richie Blackmore never managed to get into any of the performances he did with Deep Purple. Yeah, just a cracking album. It's a bit rough around the edges, but it's a straight from the desk kind of recording at a British open air festival, probably chucking down with rain, tweaked by BBC house producer Tony Wilson. For radio broadcast, and then eventually pressed onto a record and banged out a few years later. This actually came out in 1990. I said other ones in this series include Gillan, Samson, 10 Years After, and Jethro Tull, but there's more as well. I think there's a Girls' School one, and there's definitely a Demon one around. But anyway, yeah, the whole series of these are worth collecting, because there's some interesting live performances, and if you're into Gillan or anything Purple related stuff, this should add it to your collection, and it's just a fairly good live mini album. Yeah, Gillan live at Reading, the Friday Rock Show sessions. Okay, next up we're going to have some American metalcore. Here we go. This is Vision of Disorder, from Bliss to Devastation. This was their band's 3rd album. In 2001 came out. I did look this up before I went on, but 2001 this came out. There is the front. There is the back. Big pile of maggots or mealworms, whatever they are there. There is the disc. Whip out the booklet. of these ones where the lyrics run in tiny, unreadable print in weird directions. Again, for older people with fading eyesight, you know, not good. But on the other hand, I suppose when these bands were recording these kind of things, they weren't expecting old farts like me to be reviewing them, were they? Yeah, just lyrics and artwork mainly. More lyrics, more artwork. Oh, no doubt there's some credits in there somewhere. Yeah, not much really to say about this lot because I don't really know a great deal. I do know these guys are US. They kind of definitely very much a kind of your typical metalcore band. They got the clean vocals, they got the dirty grunty vocals, they got the kind of metally backing, the kind of hardcore elements thrown in. And this is their third album. Again, I can't really read any of the notes on the back here, but I do know this is quite pleasant. It's not an earth-shatteringly great album. You know, it's a little bit cliche of the genre. It's a little bit kind of clunky around the edges, but on the other hand, it has got tracks like the opening cut from, the title cut from Bliss, the Devastation, and Done In, Itching to Bleed. Yeah, they're all kind of enjoyable, but they're nothing special. That's not to say this album isn't without merit. The performances are very competent, and the songwriting is quite tight. Just like I said, it's a little bit generic of what these kind of bands were doing at the time. Doesn't really kind of stand out head and shoulders, but on the other hand, hey, they did it. Band reformed fairly recently. I've got a couple more albums out which I haven't heard. This is the only one I have heard, so maybe this is the Duff album. I don't know. But you know, the band shows potential to be quite impressive. So yeah, 2001, Vision from Bliss to Devastation by Vision Disorder. Yeah, try before you buy. Okay. Next up, we have another live album. This is Thorogood Live by George Thorogood and the Destroyers. There is the front. There is the back. Slide this out, there's nothing in there, but I want to show you. There we are. EMI Fame label. Fame was a EMI sub-label that kind of specialised in low budget, low price releases. You know, kind of an album back then brand new will cost you a £5. You could normally get it on Fame for, you know, $2.99 or something like that. And I took the opportunity when that label was running to snap up some classics, including this, for a low price. Recordings are actually the same, the pressings are quite adequate. Just sometimes the sleeve artwork's reduced a bit, and you know, you don't get inner sleeves with them. But hey, I can overlook that because, like I said, I collect for the music, not for kind of rarity of covers or values or whatever. And anyway, in case you don't know, in case you've been living under a rock, George Thorogood, one of the ultimate blues rock guitarists, American guy, probably best known in the UK for, you ever seen the film Christine? He wrote Bad to the Bone, the Bad to the Bone, bad. That's one of his users for that. But yeah, he's one of these guys that you kind of listen to kind of his songs, you think, oh shit, that was his, was it? I mean, on here you've got, what was it, I Drink Alone, Alley Up, the Madison Blues, so Bad to the Bone, Breathing and Rocking. Does a lot of covers as well and blues standards, but really sort of takes them apart and makes them his own. I mean, on here you've got I mentioned a good few episodes ago now my favourite kind of obscure blues player, a guy called Amos Milburn, sort of jump blues piano player, and his song One Scotch, One Bourbon, One Beer. Thorogood does a great version of it on this one. Absolutely storming record. Like I said, other tracks nearby. Bottom of the Sea, Bo Diddley's Who Do You Love, a song I absolutely love that he makes it again, makes it very much his own, as recorded by, probably best known in the UK for the Juicy Lucy version, but the version on here is probably my favourite. Yeah, just a cracking show. I'm trying to think who's in the backing band. Bill Block on bass, Hank Hurricane Carter on sax, Steve Chrismar on lead guitar, Jeff Simon on drums, and H. Bond Ferguson on percussion, making for a superb backing band, giving George his chance to let rip. Yeah, I just love Mr. Thorogood. If you tune in, if you're listening to this kind of when it comes out, obviously if you're listening after the release date of this video, you're going to have to go and have a look through these shows' archives. But on my BCFM show tomorrow, I've got a different Thorogood live set recorded from his very, very early days. Hey, when did this one come out? 1986 this was. Yeah. But I've got an early George Thorogood live concert which I'm doing excerpts from. That's from about 1977, so check that out if you like a bit of Thorogood. But if you've not heard George Thorogood before, this is a great gateway album to get into. Listen to this, it's got some of his best known tracks on here and they're played brilliantly, and you realise what a great guitarist George Thorogood was. Yeah, Thorogood live, George Thorogood and the Destroyers, 1986. Okay, next up, we'll have this. Back to 1970. And a bit of kind of psych rock from California. This is Spirits, the 12 Dreams of Dr. Sardonicus. There is the front. There is the back. Open him up. That is what's behind the disc. There is the disc itself. Slide this out. Randy California himself doing some quite in-depth sleeve notes. About how he kind of went to visit Neil Young, and while staying in his house, he started writing what was become this album. As a track-by-track guide. And a kind of breakdown of who plays on this and what went on to them afterwards. You know, kind of John Locke went on to play with Nazareth, Jay Ferguson, formed Jojo Gunn, along with Mark Anderson, and also went on to play for Heart. Randy California, of course, went on to a great solo career, and Ed Cassidy kept various versions of Spirit going for a long time. Now, Spirit, one of the archetypal kind of second wave of Californian psychedelic bands. You know, when the Grateful Dead would begin to move on to kind of Americana kind of stylings and that kind of thing, the Spirit were kind of taking influence from some of the British bands that were beginning to release stuff over in the States. You know, we're talking about your Band of God Generators, your King Crimsons, etc. And did a whole string of great albums. This is probably their best known, and you know, my favourite of their albums. I've got a couple of the others, but this is just a sweet album. It's progressive, it's hippie, it's psychedelic, it's just a laid back kind of trip out of an album. On here, tracks on here like the opening cut, Nothing to Hide, leads into a song called Nature's Way, which is a kind of beautiful little psychedelic workout. Then you've got tracks like Space Child, Mr. Skin, When I Touch You. Not really a duff track on the album. This one contains 4 bonus cuts. Single version of Animal Zoo. There's an alternative mix of Morning Will Come. And then there's a couple of outtake cuts, Rougher Road and Red Light Roll On. Yeah, some of those tracks have never been released before this CD came out. So, yeah, just a great album. Just one of these seminal hippie albums that every budding or sort of like reminiscing flower child should have in their collection. It stands up to repeated listening, and is just very good. Yeah, not much else I can say about this really, but 1970, 12 Dreams of Dr. Sardonicus by the Fantastic Spirit. Probably their best album in my opinion, but others may differ, but no, for me it's this one. Which leads on to our final vinyl of the week. Here we go. In the Dark by the Grateful Dead. 1987. There's the front. There is the back. Gatefold fold out for pictures of the Dead themselves. Another picture of the Dead together, and just some credits on the back here. Now I'll admit, hand on heart, and I know a lot of deadheads out there, if you're watching this you're gonna roll your eyes, but I was very late to the Grateful Dead party, and yes, I was one of the people dragged in by the Touch of Grey video. We've been around a mate's house at the time, when early days of MTV in the UK, and Grateful Dead video came on of them doing a Touch of Grey. I've been aware of the Grateful Dead, but never really paid them that much attention. The video was fantastic. It's all kind of life-size skeleton puppets and dogs nicking drummers' legs and skeletons dancing in the audience, and really well done. It impressed me that much. The single had just come out in the UK. It impressed me that much that the following day I was down the local record shop buying the 12-inch single, and then when the album came out I snapped the album up as well, because both the A-side and the B-side of Touch of Grey really blew me away. The B-side's a track called My Brother Esau. Sort of Vietnam references in it, but great track. But anyway, that's not on this album. Got this album home and it's been a bit of a favourite of mine ever since. This kind of turned me on to the Grateful Dead to the extent that, you know, I now possess about 7 or 8 of the Dead albums. I do need to get the rest. I'd have, you know, because I really do like what I hear. This album, I've got to admit, is still my favourite Grateful Dead album, although American Beauty runs it a very close second. There's something about this album, maybe it's because it's my first experience with the band in depth, but I just love it. There are some absolute belting tracks on here. Touch of Grey, great uplift. Another one of these songs that kind of helps me through depressive periods. Great uplifting tracks, you know, bouncy, dancey. Got that hook line chorus. I will survive. I will get by. I will survive. Yeah, absolutely storming songs. You know, out about things, dark things get. You can get through it. Then you got Hell in a Bucket. Then going to Hell in a Bucket, baby. Let's just lay back and enjoy the ride. What a bit of my philosophy in life, you know, you can't change a great deal. Yeah, okay, but you may be able to vote occasionally, but you can't really change what happens. You know, fatalism, I know, but you know, just sit back and, you know, don't worry about life. Just see where life takes you. Yep. Tons of Steel, another track on here. Always been a bit of a railway fan, and the song about kind of runaway trains in America. 100,000 tons of steel out of control. She's more a roller coaster than a train I used to know. Absolutely superb that this guy driving a train down a steep hill and he can't stop it. Again, an analogy at the Science for Life, but you know, yeah, hey, what can you do? I'll tell you what you can do. The last track tells you. A song that I find so beautiful, I get lump in my throat even thinking about it. I'm lumping up now. That's Black Muddy River, a Jerry Garcia pen number about walking along a riverbank, and you know, the last rose of summer's shed its petals, etc. Just walk along the river, watch the world flow by. Sing a song that you own. Moving track, beautiful song. Play it lots for my own listening pleasure, and ends up on radio shows. I do a fair bit of that one because it's not just bang it up on Facebook or whatever just for the hell of it, just the video, because it's an amazing track. The other tracks on here, When Push Comes to Shove, the kind of quite up tempo dancey West LA Fade Away, and Throwing Stones. Again, they're all great tracks. There's not a weak moment on this album, and this has kind of kicked the door open for the Grateful Dead for me, and you know, band that I love to this day. Just a shame that the Grateful Dead's follow-up album, which would have been their last, which was called Built to Last, ironically enough, just doesn't hold a patch on this. Good, but it's just, compared with this classic, it's just a bit disappointing. So, if you've never experienced the Grateful Dead and their kind of psychedelic country rock, this is the album to check out. Hastily recommend that you do. And if you've got an open musical mind and just love a good song and a good lyric, this will move you, inspire you, and just take you to another place. Yeah, 1987, In the Dark, the Grateful Dead. One of my all-time favourite records. Well, that's it for this week. Hope you enjoyed our little show. Oh, sorry. Links to the radio shows, do the finger dance. Links to the radio shows down there on YouTube, over there on Facebook. Comment and like if you like, and subscribe so you know when the next one's coming out. I'm not trying to make money out of this channel. I'm not going to monetize it. I have no intention to. But likes and comments help kind of tell YouTube that people are interested and help it share to the general public. Because this is about love of music. As I say, want to give me feedback, please do. Comments on any of the albums I've talked about. If you feel to disagree, just keep it polite. I don't take, oh, you wanker. But, you know, going, oh, I disagree with you, so I think you're listening. Then we can have an interesting discussion. Okay, so that's it. Until next week, peeps. From me, from him, and from him, I want to say goodbye. Loves every single last one of you, and I'm out of here to make a pizza. Bye.